are you feeling? Where are you situated? I don't know if you're in Vegas right now or if you have plans, like if there are special plans to fly out and all of that.
Yeah, I'm probably going to arrive to Vegas on the 23rd, and yeah, everything is good. Just working out normally, and preparing myself mentally to go, go up against the guys. I'm excited, super excited.
Do you feel nervous at all? And not just based on your game, but just based on the outside world, everything that's happening with this virus, and what type of precautions are you taking?
Well, stepping outside alone is a huge precaution. I have to have my mask. I try to have gloves, or I just I stay sanitized. But far as the game, I'm thrilled. I'm so inspired right now because even even pros right now, people that are signed, we don't know if we're gonna make it. So all summer, I've worked out and never necessarily haven't had anything to look forward to. So now with my workouts, I'm so inspired because I have something to look forward to for this game. So I'm actually prepping for something because the pandemic has shut pretty much everything down.
Yeah, yeah. And
this is a blessing.
Yeah, I agree. I know a few days ago the roster for the men, it just wasn't put out there, but has there been any
Right.
changes?
I don't think the roster is officially set, but we pretty much know a few guys that we're going to be going against. So, yeah, I don't think it's set.
Okay.
But, I'm excited to be playing with the girls that I'm playing with. I know them. I'm familiar with them. A lot of us have that extra edge and grit that it takes to play against men and to even play that style of basketball. A lot of the girls, Shay Kelly and Imani Boyette, those we can bump into the guys that kind of be used to that type of feeling because we play against guys. So
yeah, and you started your basketball career at a very young age. You're 26 now. When you were growing up and getting into basketball, were you one of those types that were like, I will play against guys and girls. I really don't care. It's not really a big thing for me.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yes, I grew up, playing, imitating my brother, and when he started playing basketball, that's pretty much when I started. And it was a shirts and skins team. And he said, the only way you can play is if you play on the skins. He thought that would send me back inside with my dolls, but you know what happened next. I took my shirt off and I was a natural. So literally, so no, but seriously, it's just all the game of basketball has no gender. And that's pretty much what we're talking about. The hoop quality basketball comes without a gender. So we're getting ready to showcase our talent as females, and the power of female it's really rising. So I'm inspired. I really am.
Your coach is Cynthia Cooper Dyke, and that's a huge get for a coach for you guys. What has it been like preparing for this tournament in terms of talking with her? Has she been able to talk with you on the phone or do any, Zoom or Skype? How does that work out?
Well, I've met Cynthia Cooper back in my WNBA days. I met her in LA where I was drafted, and actually we were able to have a Zoom call, the whole roster, including her, and it was very nice to hear her strategies and her mindset it was really good. It was calming, and it was she wants us to play, but she has strategies that's not really. It's not super. We're just playing basketball at the end of the day, and that excites me too. There's going to be strategy that the strategy is to play free. You know what I mean? So, it's some strategies like that. So I love speaking with her. She's really easygoing.
That's cool. And you guys are going to be in Vegas. It's going to be hot. I mean, it's summertime.
Yeah.
This is a whole other, issue. So when you get there, what are the first things that you personally plan to do? Are you just going to hit the sack? Are you going to practice?
Well, it's such a good time to train if you have any basketball facilities. So I'm going to try to link up with Coach Cynthia of Coach Cooper and link up with a few of my friends, because a lot of these girls that I'm going against, they're friends. So well, they're teammates right now. So we're going to try to get in and work on some, just play basketball. That's just all we kind of going to do for Vegas. Cause it's, like you said, it's a pandemic. So many things are closed down. You don't even want to be like, hey, is this open? Is this open? You just go to do what you came to do.
Absolutely. And I have to ask, what are the things that you're doing to keep your body in shape, your immune system strong?
That's a great question. I'm in the midst of that. So that's a great question. It's always, everything you do, it plays back to on the court. So I'm 26 now. I felt amazing at 25. At 26, it was like, okay, I'm your body and you need to listen to me. I'm not saying anything's wrong, but hey, listen. So now I kind of just, honestly, I kind of like to listen to my body, portion my meals. I like to eat. So I work out and then I like to eat, pretty much whatever I like to eat. No red meats, of course. Keeping fluids in, a lot of water.
Yeah.
What else? Of course, working out, weights and things like that, not just basketball court. Work with weights, sand workouts, pool workouts, just finding fun ways, innovative, that can shock your muscles differently.
Yeah, I like that. And I know a lot of people are trying to do even more vitamins, just all these different concoctions because, they're extra vigilant and aware given what's going on externally on the outside. What are your plans in terms of your career? I mean, have you been thinking more about that given being in quarantine? Or have you kind of been taking some time to yourself to kind of relax? Like, how have things been before the news of this tournament?
Well, honestly, quarantine has been going on for so long. I've had so much time to think that I'm in action now. Like, I'm planning things out. First, I took a break, but it's been so long. It's been over 3 months, right? The quarantine.
Yeah.
Because before quarantine, everyone was overseas. I was in Israel. And before it was right before, it was 3 days before our championship. They let us know that the season was canceled. So I then came home and I had time to think. But in the future, I plan to go back overseas and keep playing this year, maybe September if it works out.
Nice. What's it like playing and living in Israel?
Oh wow, yeah, I love Israel. I was there for 3 years, and the people, the camaraderie, the chemistry. I've made friends, and I don't know. I guess when you get used to energy, especially when it's a foreign energy, you kind of adapt, and so I get to be I guess a higher energy of myself, if that makes sense. Just to be, I'm pretty acclimated with Israel, so I really like it. The food is pretty good. Food in America is really processed, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For an
So
athlete, it's important to eat well. So yeah.
exactly. So I could go and get chicken wings and things like that. Food that's not processed in Israel. Yeah, and feel better. I mean, I'm not feel better, but feel differently than if I had that same exact meal probably home. So.
Was there anything when you got there that was really a huge culture shock that took you a much longer time to get acclimated to, just in general?
I think where a lot of places I have to adapt is because of the way I came up. Is just being from Detroit is such a hardworking city. So going other places is easy for me to get complacent because my work ethic is just the way I move. Period is much different than a lot of people. So Israel is kind of laid back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that I got the energy I was telling you, I get to have a more laid back type of feel to it. But yeah, so that's probably it.
There's been a lot that we've dealt with in this country since January.
Losing Kobe.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask about that too. So, we can segue. I mean, it sounds like you were in Israel when that happened. What were your thoughts about that?
January 26th. First of all, the history I have with Kobe Bryant, I grew up and people always say, hey, you look like Kobe. You look like Kobe when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I never liked Kobe because I listened to other people talk about his arrogance. But I started developing love for Kobe as I understood Kobe and got older. And that was only like 2017-ish. So I was just adapting to Kobe and like really loving Kobe because, you know, he would come to the LA Sparks game. This is what made me start realizing like whatever he was on the court, he was a killer on the court, but he loved life. He was a women's basketball advocate, but not just an advocate. He was making change. So when that happened, it was it was so many steps back. Honestly, I felt like the women's program took so many steps back because if Kobe's not afraid to watch the game, then the hecklers that's under these comments and social media, they're going to be like, well, Kobe watches the game. Let me watch it, you know. Mm. It takes a leader like that for other people to follow. And I honestly don't know why people don't watch the game, but he was expanding that for us so well that it really devastated me to hear about that and his beautiful daughter and their family. It was tough.
Going into like the BLM movement and everything as well, what were your thoughts about that, being in a foreign country and seeing that kind of unfold?
Well, you know, as far as Black Lives Matter, that's something that's been already out on the table for some time. And I think when it really became aggressive this year was the death of George Floyd. Mm-hmm. So we wasn't overseas then. I was here when that happened. And it was equivalent to the breaking news of kind of like Kobe. It was kind of like everywhere. And, you know, just like what everybody, when you find things out, you have your first opinion, you have your initial feelings, and then you kind of want to process things and see why people are screaming all lives matter, why people are saying Black lives matter, and then you see that, hey, there's other races, and then there's different things where, you know, in a sense, we have to be accountable for everyone, not just for us to fight for equal justice. While we're fighting for equality, we still should be looking out for everyone, the one race. So that's just kind of my thoughts now that it's not initial. I was able to, you know, kind of let the rage leave and different things and just kind of be smart about it, but still kind of remain an advocate.
Yeah. We talked about your acclimating to life in Israel. What is it like being a Black female athlete in Israel?
See, well, this is the confusion from America to overseas. You know, a lot of it's all walks of life. Mm-hmm. There's not, you know, even when you go to China, being an African American, they're going to automatically think you're a celebrity. They're going to, you know, want pictures and things like that. But in Israel, it's literally all walks of life there. So nobody's staring too hard. You know, people are more laid back. But being an African American female basketball player, anywhere I go, I want to represent myself that way. Mm-hmm. I just want to make sure that I'm, you know, just representing that and the like, because that's always a title that's on me no matter where I go. And I think people will try to imitate being an African American woman. So I just want to make sure I'm showing myself in the right light so that they don't think any stereotypes are just set in stone. Like, you don't have to be that way. If that makes sense.
What's the advice that you've given young female athletes? Because I'm sure there are many that come to you and ask, you know, I'm interested in basketball, or I'm interested in playing sports. Now in 2020, what's the advice that you would give them today in terms of getting into basketball and wanting to go pro?
That's a good question. It kind of depends on my audience, because you have those players that really want it, and then those players that, you know, but I guess overall answer to the people, I would say that I kind of just want the advice that I would give would be to just I have so much advice.
It's like, I got you. I was waiting for the one question. I was like, I'm going to get it.
I got everything popping up. Like, okay, I would say count your gains. It's a jungle. It is. And you know, you can get ate off of, or you can eat. So that's what I would probably tell my really hungry players. You know, I have really good players, and so yeah, I would probably say to count your gains, and you know, keep winning, or you're not winning, you losing.
I like that. Now I'm going to add one onto that. So we have seniors who obviously their years were kind of mixed up among the pandemic and the start of it, and their whole school year was just, they had to deal with a lot of changes. So for any athlete who, they had plans to go to college this year, what would you tell those athletes who are dealing with an insurmountable amount of just life changes along with being an athlete and having to adjust?
That's also a good question. To piggyback off of my last thing, I would just tell them to trust the pandemic and trust what we went through and continue to count your wins, right? So there's daily wins that you must count, because you're not going to just overall have it. You're only a freshman. And basketball is a clever game. It's a mental game. It's not just physical at all. So count your wins daily. And the pandemic has slowed us all down, where every single day is important, because the news that we're getting on social media is breaking news, and one day feels like forever.
Yeah.
Opposed to before the pandemic, a lot of days are just crunching together. So we were able to get our minds together. And I would just tell people to trust the pandemic. Anybody that's alive in 2020 that's conscious, I don't think anybody will ever forget these feelings. You know what I mean? So count your wins and trust the pandemic.
Wow. I love that, Crystal. I love that answer. And it's so positive, but it's also extremely realistic. Thank you so much, Ultimate 515. If there's any information you want to tell people more about it, how they can watch it, and all of that good stuff. And if you want to give off your social media too, so people can follow you, that would be great.
Awesome. Well, you guys can follow me on Instagram at 100 Miles CB. You can follow my Facebook. My name is Crystal Bradford. And we are getting ready to give you guys a show. We're going to have fun. We have swag. We have everything we need for the top women's basketball players to go up against these men, for hoop quality and gender equality, all that. It's going to be so much fun. I'm looking so forward to it. My friends are, my teammates are, my coaches. This is a big thing. And when we talk about equality, we're getting it. So, this is one of the things to see. Male versus female, it's just something to see. It's going to be competitive, but it's still so much respect within our craft. Even for the men to play us, it just shows so much respect within the craft.
We can't wait. This is going to be good. We're ready for sports to come back. So.
Right, we're so ready. I'm looking forward to it. Let's kick it off well then.
Yes.
And let these women beat these men real quick.
I'm telling you.
Let's do that. Let's change it up.
Right?
Let's do it.
Well, I know it's going to be a good one. I know it. You guys have an amazing coach. You're in good hands. I know this is going to be awesome. And thank you so much, Crystal. It's a pleasure to meet you.
July 28th. See you guys there.